You're in line for coffee when someone orders an espresso. Your brain pings. Espresso. You say nothing, but something feels off. We all have these little glitches, adjusting volume to the right number or replaying old conversations at night. And we only ever hear about the downsides: anxiety, overthinking, bad habits. But what if there's another side to this? What if these quirks come with hidden advantages? Let's break them down.
You're reading a menu, scrolling a caption, just minding your own business, and boom, a missing comma jumps out like it owes you money. Then a your shows up where a your clearly belongs. You try to ignore it, you really do, but your brain already hit pause, zoomed in, and started fixing it like a tiny unpaid intern. It can feel a bit nitpicky, maybe even slightly judgmental. Like, relax, it's just a caption, right? But here's the thing. This isn't about being that person. It's about calibration. Your brain is wired a little differently. While most people read for meaning, you're reading for structure. You're not just consuming, you're auditing in real time. And yes, that comes with perks. Hidden strengths show up everywhere. You're the one who spots the typo before the email goes out to 5,000 people. You notice inconsistencies in plans, contracts, even conversations. You naturally protect quality without even trying. In a world full of good enough, you quietly raise the bar. Of course, there's a trade-off. Hidden costs sneak in when your brain refuses to switch off. Sometimes you're so locked into the details that the bigger picture fades into the background, like missing the story because you're busy correcting the subtitles. Still, this precision isn't random. It's not a quirk. It's your brain's default setting. And honestly, in the right moments, it's a superpower.
It's late. You're finally in bed, lights off, ready to sleep, and out of nowhere, your brain hits play on a scene from 2017. Something awkward you said, something no one else even remembers. But there you are, reliving it in HD, wondering why on earth this is still in your head. It feels like you're stuck in the past, like your brain just refuses to move on. But that's not what's happening. This is post-event analysis. Your mind is basically running a quiet review session. It goes back, replays moments, looks for patterns, and tweaks your future behavior. It's not trying to embarrass you, it's trying to upgrade your operating system. Annoying timing? Absolutely. Useless? Not even close. Because this is where the advantages kick in. You don't just go through experiences, you learn from them on repeat. While most people move on quickly, you extract lessons, sharpen your instincts, and become more aware of how you show up. Over time, that compounds. You adapt faster, you read situations better, you grow without even realizing it. Of course, there's a downside. Your brain doesn't exactly respect business hours. These reviews tend to show up right when you're trying to sleep, turning your pillow into a conference room. Still, this isn't you being stuck, it's you getting better, one replay at a time. You're in the shower, and somehow you're already in a full conversation with someone who isn't there. You say your part, they reply, a bit dramatically, honestly, and you fire back with a perfectly timed response. Oscar-worthy performance. No audience. It looks like anxiety from the outside, like your brain just won't relax. But that's not really it. This is strategic simulation. You're running scenarios before they happen, testing different angles, reactions, and outcomes like it's a mental chess match. While other people walk into conversations hoping for the best, you've already explored 5 versions of how it could go. By the time it actually happens, you're not improvising, you're choosing. This is where the advantages shine. You're prepared without looking rehearsed. You handle pressure better because your brain has been there already. Important conversations, tricky moments, even conflicts, you're less likely to freeze or say something you regret. You read the room faster, adjust quicker, and stay one step ahead without making it obvious. Of course, there's a catch. Sometimes you rehearse so much that real life feels off script. People don't follow your imaginary dialogue, which is rude, honestly. And in trying to get it right, you might miss the fun, messy spontaneity of the moment. Still, this isn't overthinking. It's quiet strategy, and most of the time, it works in your favor. You're deep into something, working, thinking, fully locked in. Time disappears. Then, without warning, you glance down and, yeah, your nails didn't make it. Again. It feels like a lack of control, like, why am I doing this? But take a closer look. This usually shows up when your brain is overloaded. This isn't random, it's sensory regulation. When your mind is running at full speed, juggling ideas, solving problems, staying focused, your body steps in with small, repetitive actions to release tension and keep things stable. It's like a built-in pressure valve. Not glamorous, sure, but surprisingly functional. And here's where the upside kicks in. You don't shut down under pressure. You stay in the game. While others might lose focus or check out, you find ways to keep your mind engaged. You push through complex tasks, long hours, mental overload, and somehow you're still thinking clearly. That's not weakness, that's endurance with a quirky side effect. Of course, there's a trade-off. If the habit sticks around too often, your fingers pay the price. Not exactly a spa treatment. Still, this isn't just a bad habit. It's your system trying to help you cope, stay focused, and keep moving even when things get intense. You're in a car. Music's playing. The volume says 13, and for some reason, that feels illegal. You try to ignore it, you really do, but something in your brain keeps tapping your shoulder like, we're not okay with this. So you wait a few seconds, casually reach over and fix it. 12 or 15. Peace is restored. It seems trivial, maybe even a little obsessive, but it's not about the number. This is micro-control. In a world that's messy, unpredictable, and occasionally chaotic, your brain creates tiny pockets of certainty, small adjustments, little systems, things you can control. And those small wins add up more than people realize. Because this doesn't stay in the car, this shows up everywhere. You naturally organize things, ideas, plans, spaces. You bring structure where others see confusion. When something feels chaotic, you don't panic. You start arranging, prioritizing, fixing. You create clarity, often without even thinking about it. That's a real advantage, especially when things get stressful. Of course, there's a flip side. When something small gets disrupted, it can feel way bigger than it should. Like your brain goes, we had a system. But here's the truth. You don't create order because you're rigid. You create it because you function better inside it. And honestly, so do most people. They just don't realize it yet. A picture frame is slightly tilted. Not much, just enough. A tile is a shade off. A sentence sounds weird. Most people walk right past it. You don't. Your brain catches it instantly, like a radar ping. And suddenly, you can't unsee it. It feels like perfectionism, like you're being picky for no reason. But that's not what's going on. This is pattern detection. Your brain is wired to notice when something breaks the expected structure, visually, behaviorally, even socially. You're not just seeing things, you're comparing them to an internal model in real time. And when something's off, even slightly, it lights up. Now here's where it gets interesting. This isn't just about crooked frames. This skill shows up everywhere. You notice small issues before they turn into big ones. You pick up on subtle changes in people's behavior. You sense when a plan has gaps, when a story doesn't add up, when something feels off, even if no one can explain why. That gives you a quiet edge in decision-making, problem-solving, and even relationships. Of course, there's a downside. When your environment feels off, your brain won't let it go. Relaxing in chaos, not exactly your thing. Still, this isn't being difficult, it's being precise. And most of the time, it keeps you one step ahead. Your phone buzzes. What do you want for dinner? Simple question, should take 5 seconds, right? But there you are, typing, deleting, rewriting like you're drafting a peace treaty. You pause, read it again, maybe add an emoji, maybe remove the emoji. This is now a full production. From the outside, it looks like indecision, like just pick pizza and move on. But that's not really it. This is impact awareness. You know words aren't just words. They carry tone, intention, and consequences. I'm fine with anything can sound easygoing or passive. You choose can feel polite or distant. So you think it through. You're not just replying, you're deciding how you want to show up in that moment. And this is where the advantages show up. People trust you. When you say something, it usually lands well because you've already considered how it might be received. You avoid unnecessary conflict, communicate with more clarity, and make others feel heard, even in small interactions. Over time, that builds stronger relationships without you forcing it. Of course, there's a downside. Sometimes your pause gets misread. People think you're not interested, or you're overthinking something simple. But in reality, you're just being intentional. And in a world full of rushed messages, that's a rare skill. You're at a gathering, music's on, people are talking over each other, someone's telling a story that's way too long, and you're there, a bit quieter, just taking it all in. From the outside, it might look like shyness, like you're not fully engaged, but that's not what's happening. This is active observation. While everyone else is busy talking, you're reading the room. You notice who's actually listening and who's just waiting to speak. You catch the tone shifts, the subtle glances, the body language that doesn't match the words. It's like you're watching two conversations at once, the one people hear and the one they don't. And this is where it becomes a real advantage. You understand environments on a deeper level. You can sense tension before it becomes obvious. You pick up on alliances, moods, unspoken rules. That makes you better at navigating social situations, avoiding drama, and knowing when to speak, and when not to. When you do talk, it usually lands because you've already read the context. Of course, there's a trade-off. Sometimes, while everyone is in the moment, you feel slightly outside of it, like you're watching instead of participating. But that awareness, it's not distance, it's perspective. And in the right moments, it gives you a quiet kind of control most people never develop. You're on a plane, everything's calm, and then your brain goes, okay, but what if? Where's the nearest exit? How many rows back? What's the plan if things get weird? People call it overthinking, maybe even a bit negative, but this isn't the same as spiraling thoughts. This is risk mapping. While your mental chessboard handles conversations, this part of your brain handles uncertainty. It scans for weak points, builds quick scenarios, and quietly prepares responses. You're not expecting disaster, you're making sure you wouldn't be clueless if something unexpected happened. And here's where it becomes an advantage. In high-pressure situations, you don't freeze, you orient. While others are still processing what's going on, you're already moving, already thinking in steps. You've mentally been there before, so your reaction is faster, calmer, more deliberate. This shows up in everyday life too, planning ahead, spotting potential problems, avoiding preventable mistakes. You're not paranoid, you're prepared. Of course, there's a cost. If the system never powers down, it can create a low-level tension in the background, like your brain is always on standby mode. But the truth is simple. The mind that anticipates risk is the one most ready to respond when it actually matters. You start your day the same way. Same mug, same chair, same order. Coffee first, then everything else. It's not dramatic, but it's consistent. Then one day, something changes. The mug's missing. Someone's in your spot. Suddenly, everything feels slightly off. Not ruined, just misaligned. From the outside, it can look rigid, like you're stuck in your ways. But that's not what's happening. This is cognitive efficiency. Your brain is automating small decisions so it doesn't waste energy on things that don't matter. While other people are figuring out what to do first, what to wear, where to sit, you've already cleared that mental clutter. You're running on a system, not on willpower. And this is where the advantages really show up. You stay consistent even when motivation dips. You don't need to feel like it to get things done. You just follow the structure you've already built. That makes you more reliable, more focused, and way less prone to decision fatigue. Over time, those small repeated actions stack up into real progress almost quietly. Of course, there's a trade-off. When something suddenly breaks your routine, it can throw off your rhythm more than expected. But overall, this isn't rigidity, it's strategy. You're protecting your energy for what actually matters. And that's a long-term advantage most people underestimate.
If you're not subscribed, you'll probably never see us again. But if you are, congratulations. You're growing every day.